To import or not to import? That is the question. In today's physical media news topic video, I'm going to be talking about the pros with importing, the cons with importing, and ultimately my decision on whether I will import in the future. So let's talk about it. First, to start with the positives of importing physical media overseas. Well, oftentimes the items you can import physical media wise often just look a lot better in terms of artwork and design as in comparison with the United States release of those certain same titles. For example, we got The Wolf of Wall Street coming out from Arrow as a UK release, and this looks like a stunning addition. It looks so awesome. Looks like you get a lot of collectability with it, a lot of things that will remind you of the movie, jam-packed into that awesome Arrow kind of collector's box set. So that looks awesome as compared with all the other releases we've gotten in the States so far. Yeah, there's been a steelbook. Yeah, there's been other editions out there, slipcovers and whatnot. But nothing like this cool looking Arrow box set that's only at the moment, from what I understand, being released in the UK. Now, yeah, it could happen like the True Romance set that eventually got released to the States. That is definitely a possibility, which hopefully, fingers crossed, that will definitely happen. But who knows? It may only be a UK release. And this looks like an awesome addition that I would love to have in my collection. And it's not just The Wolf of Wall Street. You can look at a bunch of different titles that have been only UK releases that haven't gotten over to the States that just look so cool in comparison to the editions we have gotten in the States. I mean, they just do a great design on a lot of these collector's editions overseas, and we just don't get that care and attention into our releases here sometimes in the States. For some reason, whatever it might be, just the collectability of it, the look of it, the design of it just seems to be a little bit in more favor of certain overseas releases and editions. Doesn't mean we won't get anything good in the States. We definitely have got plenty of great items before, but just in comparison, it looks like overseas you get better artwork, better design, more collectible items, just an overall better edition in my personal opinion. Also, another great thing is you get a variety of titles that you may not find that have a good state release edition. Arrow will often release a whole bunch of titles just to the UK that never make it over to the States, unfortunately. Usually for the releases they have every year, there's a way more ton of them that are UK only. Yeah, some of them will be UK and the States, but a lot of them will just be UK overseas releases. And so if you want that, you're gonna have to import it. But they do a whole bunch of titles. Sometimes they're a little bit more obscure and kind of rarer titles, it seems, whereas state releases are often more kind of mainstream popular titles. Not always, but just in comparison, once again, I feel like you can import a lot more rarer titles, especially from these different boutique labels out there, at least just from what I've noticed and at least in my personal view of it. So if you want more variety of titles, more rare items, more kind of obscure items that you may have a preference towards that you really want in your collection, well, overseas may be the only way to go. And also, they might have a really cool addition through that overseas boutique label release. So to me, that's what I notice in comparison. And also another great positive, if it's a 4K release and you import it in, it's still going to work on your 4K player because the 4Ks aren't locked in any way. So yeah, you may need to say, import it in, but the 4K disc should work just fine on your 4K player. So no worries there. Don't be afraid about importing and thinking, oh, is the disc going to work here in the States? No, it should work just fine. So there's definitely a lot of benefits to importing physical media. Now to get into the negatives associated with importing movies. Well, the import cost, we gotta talk about that import shipping. It's gonna be more expensive, cost you more money to ship import movies into the States, of course, or wherever you're importing from. And it's all gonna vary in price depending on what country it's coming from. Also, what is the size or weight to the item, right? One little movie case is going to be different than a collection of movies, different than a big giant collectible set with movies. So it's going to vary in price, but it's definitely going to be much more expensive than if you just shipped from state to state. Also, a lot more expensive than if you're just using Amazon Prime, because Amazon Prime gives you that free shipping, nothing better than free 99, of course. So no matter what, depending on if it's a little bit more expensive, like a $10 shipping, or if it's a lot more than that, it's going to be more expensive than if you're just shipping inside state to state. So imports are just always going to cost more. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the nature of the beast at that point. Also, keep in mind that if you're getting an imported Blu-ray, Blu-rays are region locked. So unless you have a region-free Blu-ray player, that Blu-ray is not going to work for you. And some people may know that out there, some people may not know that. So I like to mention that just so people are all aware that, yeah, if you're going for a Blu-ray, you better have a region-free Blu-ray player. Now, I don't have one of those yet. I definitely need to invest in one and get one of those ASAP. Maybe I will in the future. But I just want people to be aware of it. So, it's not a big surprise when a Blu-ray they put in doesn't work and they're like, wait, what's going on here? I just got this movie imported. Yeah, definitely need a region-free Blu-ray player. It's not like a 4K where 4Ks will work on any of the 4K players just fine. Difference between 4K and Blu-ray right there. So also, we have to talk about something else. Something that's just a little issue for me. It's probably not a big deal to a whole lot of people, and really it's not a big deal to me either. It's just something that's a little irritating to me, I guess you could say, and I know it's small. It's a small detail, but it's that number in the corner on the front cover, right? It's like a hexagon. You got a number in there for the rating for those overseas imports. It doesn't really change anything about the movie, correct? It doesn't hurt the movie in any way. Yeah, you can still see the cool front cover, but it's just something that irritates me a little bit. That's just personally me. Probably doesn't affect most people out there. But that's why I do like the States releases, because they won't put that symbol and number in the corner of everything. No, they won't have that at all. That's an overseas thing when you're importing certain movies. And so, like I said, it's just a really small little thing. I probably shouldn't complain about it too much, but it's something to take note of. It's going to look different than your state release physical titles. Yeah, it's just something about that little hexagon with the number in there on the corner that shouldn't bug me too much, but it bugs me just a little bit enough to where I have to mention it. So yeah, there's just some negatives out there associated with importing movies. Now to get into my decision on if I'm going to be importing in the future. So for me personally, I don't think I'm going to have the need to import much of anything. Yeah, there's definitely some really cool releases out there that are only available for import. There's definitely some rare and obscure titles out there, but usually the titles I lean more into are often ones that are a little bit more popular that do eventually get a state release, some kind of edition out here. So usually I can wait a little bit and eventually I see it will go to the States. And so I like to get that edition most likely. Now, yeah, sometimes artwork maybe is not as good, but sometimes the artwork is still pretty good. So it just depends on what boutique label's releasing it, right? What kind of edition it is. So you know what? I know I may be missing out on some titles out there, some of the more rare, obscure titles. Yeah, I know I'm going to be missing out on something, but for now, I'm okay with it. Like I said, I'm really intrigued by that Wolf of Wall Street 4K Arrow box set. I mean, that just looks amazing for collectors out there, but I'm hoping that eventually gets a state edition release. It may be different, but you know what? At least I'll still get the movie, and hopefully it's still cool enough. Hopefully that eventually does get released in some way over to the States. I just don't want to pay the import shipping costs, especially just because I'm so used to Amazon Prime free shipping. I know I've been spoiled with that, but I just don't want to have to pay those import shipping fees. Just because how I look at it personally, for me, I'm always like, you know what, instead of paying those import fees, I could just put that towards another title and get more movies out of it. Yeah, I know there's going to be a difference in quality of movies. I get it, I understand that, but I just want to save a little bit of money. That way I can get more movies overall. So that's just my personal choice and preference. So I'm not going to personally import a whole lot of anything. I haven't imported anything yet. Never say never though. I might in the future. It just depends how much I want the title. And I think that's really my recommendation out there for people. If you love the title and you don't want to miss out on it and you're okay with the shipping costs, then go for it. You do you with that. You got to get that title into your collection because you just don't want to miss out on it. And if you know you really like the movie, it's a movie you're really passionate about, then go for it because you don't know if it's going to get a different edition released where you're at. So yeah, at the end of the day, you might just have to import it to get that one. So just as kind of weighing the benefits, the cons, you know, how much do you want to risk on missing out? Do you really need it in your collection? It just depends what kind of collector you are. Are you a collector that can hold off a little bit to try to save some money and kind of pick your times to get those deals or those releases in this sense? It just depends, once again, what kind of collector you are. This is going to be a different decision for everybody out there. But I just wanted to let you all know my thoughts on it, go over the pros, the cons, and what my decision was. But now it's your turn. Let me know in the comments below. Are you a big fan of importing? How many titles do you have imported? What are some of your favorite imported editions out there? Because maybe some of y'all can convince me with some really cool looking additions, and maybe I will just have to start importing myself. Well, let's have those fun movie discussions down below. And if you're visiting the channel for the very first time and you love collecting physical media and being part of this awesome league of mega film fans, make sure you subscribe right now. That way you stay entertained and up to date on all the latest physical media topics.
He's creating urgency for getting to want to buy the stuff. Convince them it's something that they need.
And if you enjoy this physical media topic video, click another video to see more. Also like the video. And this is Mega Mike the Movie Man reminding you to make every day a movie day.